Thanks,
Cheryl, are you ready? Excellent. Okay. Welcome back. Great to have another semester starting. Always exciting. Great to have you here. I'd like to welcome Vita Rossi Dean, who's our new chair of Ed Policies. So great to have you with us. I would also like to read our faculty civility statement. We are videotaping our meetings for reference and such, and we'll post those. They're always good to refer back to. Sometimes I'll try to look back on notes. Anyway, if you weren't aware of it, the faculty Code of Ethics and Code of Professional Ethics is in the back of our college catalog. It's on page 241 in our current catalog. I would just like to read this as a reminder. We had some passionate meetings at the end of last semester, and I just want to read this as a reminder. We've got copies of it up there, and it's also in the handbook. Guided by a profound belief in and respect for the inherent dignity and worth of each individual and the cultural diverse community we serve, the faculty of College of the Desert endeavor to place as their highest priority excellence in teaching, continually striving to improve scholarly and professional competence, maintaining professional and academic integrity, and accepting the role of intellectual guide and facilitator. Encourage the free pursuit of learning, honoring the confidential nature of the relationship between instructor and student, avoiding exploitation of students for private advantage, and holding before them high scholarly standards for their discipline and appreciation and respect for others. Accept accountability for maintaining honest academic conduct, high standards of performance, and evaluation that reflects the true merit of students, courses, programs, and services. Accept the obligations associated with membership in a community of scholars that includes practicing, fostering, and defending intellectual honesty, freedom of inquiry and instruction, social responsibility, and respect for the opinion of others. Acknowledge the rights and obligations associated with the role of citizen within the community, ensuring that views expressed within the society are represented as those of a private citizen rather than those of a spokesman of the college. Very good policy. Public comments. Cheryl, did we receive any input or requests for public comment? Okay. Without hearing any input regarding public comments, approval of agenda. The agenda was sent out. Any interest in amending the agenda? Any objectives to approving the agenda as it stands? Without hearing any objections, the agenda is approved. I'm sorry. I apologize. I mixed up. I wish you were close enough to kick me. The agenda with the minutes. Yeah, for the agenda, there's two things we need to amend. I would like to amend. Number one, I need to delete 6B, which is faculty recognition. I was not able to prepare the documents for that. So delete 6B, and then add an item under discussion, climate survey. Item D under discussion, climate survey. Any objections to those amendments? Without hearing any objections, the agenda is approved. Minutes. Any objections to approving minutes as they were sent out? Without hearing any objections, the minutes are approved. We're going to go to reports. Now, keep in mind, we are meeting twice a month. as we established a couple semesters ago. And I was talking to Carl, and Carl was like, we haven't met yet. What am I supposed to say? If you have something to report out, this is the opportunity. We're trying to keep these reports to 3 minutes. If you just want to say hi and don't have anything to report out, that's fine too. We can move on. So that's the intent, is to update the body to things that may not be in your minutes or you may want to highlight. So with that, curriculum, Carl Farmer.
Curriculum as of that, I have nothing to report.
Ed Technologies, distance ed.
We have Kim Dozier as our new distance ed coordinator. We're very excited, and she's very excited. And she's already revitalizing the trainings in the TLC, and we should have gotten a schedule of those today from her, as well as many other things we have in the hopper. So we're moving forward. Very excited. We do meet on Thursday. Anybody's welcome to the nursing conference room at 12:30.
I'm sorry, your title again is director or
She is the coordinator.
coordinator? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And policies.
Hello. The only thing I have to report, we haven't met yet, but I have had a couple of opportunities to communicate with Michael Harlow, regarding creating an actual website for the faculty in Canada. So we'll discuss that at the next meeting on Thursday, and it's like that is the way that we want to proceed in Canada.
Thank you. Faculty development.
We're meeting this Thursday, so more information will be available after that. Updates and such, we had floods, obviously. It was a particular challenge this time, so I hope that the next time around there can be more clear communication about who is responsible for what pieces of that event that we all benefit from.
Thank you. Outcomes assessment.
We haven't met as a group yet, but one of our charges this year is to begin improving a lot of the documents that we've inherited from the group prior to our committee. One of the most exciting things that we're working on currently is I'm working with Dr. Martinez on a beta test for our assessment report 4. The one that you all work on, to make it a lot easier for everyone, a lot more intuitive. We're using SharePoint as a base for that document, so as soon as Dr. Martinez has something for us, we will share it with all of you.
Thank you. Adjunct. Thank you, sorry.
No, there's some discussion concerning the devolution, if you will, of the Faculty Resource Center. At the retreat, President Kinman indicated he's well aware of potential problems there, so I think he's paying attention to what might have happened, and hopefully we'll put the session in the right time.
Thank you. Mr. Duran is not with us, but we have Antoinette. If you don't mind introducing yourself and maybe your report.
Hello everyone, my name is Antoinette Cabreu and I am the senator for the ASCOD government, and I'm stepping in for Tim Brand, and I have a report here. On December 1st, 2014, ASCOD allocated funds to host the ICC Spring Semester Club Rush. This semester's Club Rush is scheduled on February 17th through the 18th, 2015. And our ASCOD Vice President, Tish Lacey, is meeting with her ICC cabinet to discuss and organize Club Rush themes and activities. If any faculty is interested in helping or would like to participate in any cool activities, faculty and administration are always welcome. On December 12, 2014, ASCOD hosted a Region 9 meeting held in the ASCOD OSL conference room. The meeting started half an hour late due to rain issues. However, the region expressed their compliments on how the campus continues to look beautiful each time they visit. The next Region 9 meeting, where our ASCOD Officer External Affairs Brittany Flores will travel and represent ASCOD and College of Desert is held at Claflin Hills College on Friday, February 13th, 2015. Our last ASCOD meeting for the fall semester was on December 8th, 2014, and we had our first meeting for the spring semester yesterday, February 2nd, 2015, at 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Our ASCOD Honors Program Task Force continues to work over the winter break to gather as much information from different community colleges and their established honors program. The ASCOD Honors Program Task Force, chaired by our very own ASCOD Officer of Academic Affairs, Timothy Duran, also met for their last meeting yesterday before approving their finalized report and officially bringing the report back to ASCOD for final approval. The finalized report comprised of honors program coordinator, /director questionnaire interviews, honors program application examples, and an informational chart of different community colleges and their honors programs. ASCOD approved and supported the document brought forward by the honors program task force at yesterday's ASCOD meeting. ASCOD approved to host, and also finally, ASCOD approved to host a Team for Jeans event on Wednesday, February 11th, 2015.
Thank you. Senate President report, some of my items are in the agenda, so no report at this time. Informational items, spring elections. So the positions up are President, Ed Tech Distance Ed Chair, and Faculty Development Chair. Also, the second or junior adjunct position is also up. There's a, did you hand these out or are they on the table? Both.
On the table.
Okay, so Cheryl put together a timeline and also the pertinent information from our bylaws. I'll be sending out a note to all faculty asking who would like to participate in the selection committee. Anyone running can't participate.
The nominations committee, not.
Yes, sorry, nominations committee. Yeah, that was definitely the wrong word. We all get to select, so thank you. So the nominations committee, thank you. Any questions? Yes,
Don't forget to put faculty of the year on your ballot.
thank you.
It goes in the same election.
Yes. Yep. Excellent. Okay. Next item is proposed summer conference call dates. So, faculty do not have a contractual obligation over the summer, and the college continues to do business. Now, it's, of course, summer school classes and such, but where it comes into our backyard is sometimes there are decisions in the participatory process that should involve faculty, and at times maybe don't involve faculty like they should because of the timing, because of being over the summer. And we can't just say, let's not do anything over the summer, because sometimes things come up from the state or what have you that have to be addressed. Many of those things can be postponed or delayed or not addressed, but things come up that have to be addressed. And we've handled it in different ways. As appropriate, the president would make a decision, but we're trying to look for a solution that would involve more participation and more feedback. So what I'd like you to take back to your academic units, to make them aware primarily, and also to get your input, but primarily to get awareness at your academic units, is that we're proposing 3 dates for a 1-hour conference call with the Senate, all faculty Senate reps, or their designee. If Dr. Augustine is, sunning on the beaches of Tahiti, he can again send a designee, or he can call in from there.
Also,
Okay, whatever you choose. But, you know, there's still limited input we can provide because we can't bounce it off our academic unit. However, I think it will up the level of our involvement, our participation, and awareness that we're there. So the 3 dates we're looking at, and I'd really like to target 2 of these, July 17th and August 21st. Those are the 2 dates I think would be the best. But there's a third date of June 19th. The call would be from 10 to 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So why did we pick these dates and why conference call, so on and so forth? Conference call obviously is much more accommodating than a face-to-face meeting. We tried to pick a Friday considering that there may be a more robust summer schedule and faculty may be teaching Monday through Thursday more so than a Friday. So that's why we tried to pick those dates. And they were the Fridays following when we typically have our Thursday all-faculty Senate meeting. So that was the rationale behind that. But if you would make your group aware, we're trying to make this happen, and then talk it over with your group, and if it's bring back your thoughts, your concerns, your yes or your no for next meeting. Yes.
When you say conference call, would be to collaborate or?
What we would do is we would set up probably a CCC confer and a number everyone could call in. And, you know, I would probably call in from home versus here. And here's the number you call in. And then we have the discussion of the items that are critical that we've got to talk about. And only those that are critical. There's different ways to handle this process too. One approach is, okay, as an issue comes up, let's get the group together. Well, that's disastrous because everybody's schedule is different. If we can set aside a couple dates that we think, okay, we got to provide some input there, and then ask administration to, as things come up that need our participation, try to honor those dates and target those to bring them before the Senate. We you know, kind of analyze, that's probably the best way to go after it. So it would be a conference call you can do from home or your desk or wherever you choose, or the beach.
So you're looking at 3 potential dates total. I mean, if you just like one or the other, there's 3 dates you're going to set aside for taking the issue or.
Yeah, I would like July 17th and August 21st. Those are the 2. But if for some reason those were terrible and we had to come up with another one, my third or my second option there would be June 19th.
Okay, but you're looking at one out of those 3 or?
No, 2, July 17, August 21.
Definitely.
Yes.
As if we were having a meeting.
Yes, that's what I'd like to see. I think, yeah.
So we're gonna, is this group gonna vote on whether or not this is gonna happen? And are we gonna, is that the information we're soliciting from our constituencies, like whether or not they support this? And if they do, then are they saying, yeah, I approve of the Senate conducting business during the summer via the conference?
Well, the Senate, in one way or another, does conduct business over the summer. Sometimes it's me. I'd rather it not be just me. That's not the Senate. So that's not the issue. We would like a vote, yes. And I apologize for not being clear. And if we can have one at the next meeting, what we'll do is we'll discuss this. And if we're at the point where everybody seems like we can vote, we will. If not, we'll have further discussion. But we want to get input from the academic unit, see if they have any issues. Now, some topics, right, are going to be very contentious, a lot of issues, a lot of discussions, and some not so much. So I think this is a not so much, definitely informational, because we have to participate in some way or the summer. But I would like to vote next meeting if possible. And most of the people it affects is you, right? So, however, you may call on one of them. Excellent, okay. Discussion items. I asked Professor Becker to share some information that she had put out last semester concerning faculty development and some of the changes that are going on at the state level. And it's kind of interesting. The state academic senate is also struggling with where do faculty fall? How has the law changed? What's the best way to house some of these activities? So, it's around anywhere.
Anywhere. All right, greetings, everyone. Last fall, a proposal came to Planning Council to establish a professional development committee as a subcommittee of the Planning Council. And in your information, there's 2 pages called Revitalizing Professional Development in College of the Desert. That was the proposal that came to Planning Council. And on the back of that page, there's the membership proposed for that committee. I believe the Senate needs to object to this very strongly. AB 1725 passed back in the 80s, gave faculty the right to participate in the governance of the college in almost all academic matters. It's called the 10 plus 1, and plus 1 covers anything that they forgot in the 10. Number 8 is specifically policies for faculty development, which is why we have an Academic Senate Faculty Development Committee. This proposal creates an entirely new committee that will take charge of Flex and will take charge of all faculty development. Not only does that create a second committee, for which we really do not need, because we would have to put more faculty on it, but I believe that it takes away one of the responsibilities and rights of the Senate. Our own AP 2510, Board Policy and Administrative Procedure 2510, says that the Board of Trustees and the administration of this college will rely primarily upon faculty through the Academic Senate for all proposals on policies on faculty development. So moving this over to Planning Council takes that away from faculty and puts it into a different orbit. Now, the administration is going to tell you that we have to do this. We have to create the new committee because of some legislation that was passed in 2014, AB 2558. That legislation says that we need to have an advisory committee consisting of faculty and staff and administrators working on professional development. It says nothing about creating a Planning Council subcommittee, nor does it say anything about taking it away from the Senate. It simply says you must identify an advisory committee. We have advisory committees on several other areas. We have a bookstore advisory committee, we have a calendar advisory committee, and they work in conjunction with our group of people, not as a separate committee. So it's an opportunity to do that. They're also going to tell you that we're not doing everything we need to do. And I won't argue with that. We are not doing the accounting that we need to do for faculty development to get the flex credit and to get the FTPS that we're claiming. However, that doesn't mean we need to take the policies away and the rights away. It simply means they need to provide support for us to do the bookkeeping that we need to do. I would not at all object to a professional development department, similar to what we have for curriculum. We don't do all the work for curriculum. We set the policies, we do the approvals, but we have a curriculum specialist. I would have no problem having a professional development specialist. We've had that in the past. So I don't believe that those arguments really hold water in terms of setting up this other committee. Okay. One of the things that I just might want to point out, we have an academic calendar committee. And the academic calendar right now comes up with flex days, and we have traditionally had 2 in the fall and 2 in the spring. The new calendar just went through the Board of Trustees in January. Never came to the Senate, which is another issue we'll discuss. There are now 3 days in the fall and 3 days in the spring. Okay, there was no faculty input in this. And I think even though we have not yet established a committee on the Planning Council, and the fact that these kinds of things happen just because they think they don't have to go through us, it's a big warning signal. So I would like to encourage the Senate to consider a resolution saying that we are against this committee for a variety of reasons, and that we believe that we should maintain our faculty development committee as it is and work to establish an advisory committee and get the support from the administration that we need to do it correctly. So I put together a resolution. I made it a little bit too long, a little bit too complicated, because it's always easier to attack and delete than it is to try to add things. And I just wanted to get everybody thinking a little bit about some of the ramifications of doing this. I think this will be coming to planning council on Friday. I'm not sure, right?
Yeah, I've not seen the agenda yet, I will see it tomorrow. I've not seen the planning
agenda yet?
committee agenda, I'll see it tomorrow.
Okay. And as you mentioned, the state academic senate is also working very hard on this. And they had some resolutions in the fall because they're concerned also that the new legislation can be seen to take away from AB 1725. And we can't let that happen. That's a very slippery slope. So they are in fact putting it to their professional development committee, and they have had a resolution saying, we don't want anything happening until we can figure out a way to make this work. So it is happening for them too.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
So who brought the proposal? Who brought the proposal to the, to create this new committee out of planning council? Was it?
It was given to me by Jim Berg, but I'm not on planning council, so I'm not sure if he officially presented it.
He did.
He did?
And who is Eliu Benavides?
The protest.
But who is that person?
He's an adjunct.
He's an adjunct on, yeah, history background.
I've never seen that name before, so I was just trying to.
And I did come to the fact we all from committee last fall, so we can discuss this at the committee level.
Thank you.
Okay.
So, reps, I'd like you to take back this resolution for discussion. Talk about, I'll call on you next, Lisa, thank you. Talk about what you like, what you don't like, things you want to change or keep it as is. And we'll continue the discussion at the next meeting about where we want to go with the resolution. Lisa?
So as faculty development chair, I have, I certainly have some thoughts on the matter. I have concerns about the recommendations of the task force that met last spring, which was co-chaired by Jim Berg and Eliu Benavides. I have some concerns. I certainly felt that some of these issues were being played out in terms of not supporting the process of preparing for Flex this year. I have to question decisions that were made by more than one individual to not support the Faculty Development Committee with appropriate clerical support. That decision was made when I took over as chair. And I think that unfortunately, regardless of intention, that has laid the groundwork for those in administration who might want to take responsibility for Flex and remove it from the purview of the Academic Senate. So I have concerns, and that is why I emailed all faculty about this in the fall, and that was when Zarel replied very thoroughly with her concerns and objections. So that was really helpful to have the issue laid out in that way, because I still feel like I've been learning a lot as I go, given that as faculty development chair, I had no faculty development, I had no guidance or training in my responsibilities. So it certainly has been a personal frustration as well as a professional frustration, because I think it's an important issue. However, I don't agree with what's being recommended in the resolution, and I was very surprised to see a resolution attached to a discussion item for today. And I see this resolution as going to the opposite extreme of what was proposed by Jim Berg and the task force that he and Pam Hunter led. It was essentially the two of them making recommendations. So I wanted to put that out there because I think that there are ways that we can comply with AB 2558 I think there are ways that we can make the Faculty Development Committee more robust in terms of managing flex and being involved in developing appropriate faculty development activities rather than merely checking for errors on travel forms. I think that this resolution and the way it's been presented here today forecloses on a more productive discussion that we should have.
Thank you. Sure.
So I'm trying to follow most of what you're saying, being a little vague in certain areas, but we're going to go back to our groups and discuss this. What would you like us to encourage our members to look at? It's kind of difficult to take, I mean, I'm
Sure.
looking at two different things.
I understand.
When AB 1725 was put in place, just to make it, I don't know how else to put this, it's kind of been washed away by the administrative rain, if you will, if I could use that analogy. So to see it come popping up again and to see all of this is wonderful. I think that this group sits on AB 1725. This is the mountain we sit on. This, to me, is governance. And you keep alluding to possible administrative interference or something. I don't really know what that means specifically. Maybe I don't even want to know what that means. I guess what I'm asking you is, when we go back to our constituencies, what would you like us to say? How should we approach this?
It's a good question, and because I didn't know there was a resolution being presented today, I don't have a really clear, concise recommendation prepared. What I would ask is that we not approve the resolution that's been presented. I think it's too extreme. I'm not sure what a professional development department would look like or how that would work best. So I'd like for that to be a discussion that happens with the Faculty Development Committee and with all of us, not in I'd like for there to be time for that discussion to take place.
What is this thing? Oh, excuse
So
me.
here-
I'm getting mixed up. Which one's
Sure.
the resolution?
The resolution is on the back of page 1.
Okay, so that would be what Zarell is referring to.
That's what Zarell just
Okay, and
presented.
what do you call this thing? What is this?
The front page 2 is what Jim Bird put together based on the task force that he
Oh, okay.
convened in the spring, along with the other task
So this is
forces that met.
suggested, right? This is just
Correct.
suggested.
And I sat in on most, if not all, of those meetings. The recommendations here seemed neutral enough. However, the makeup of the committee, which he proposed in the fall, was something that was not discussed. So that was something that he prepared and presented to Planning Council. And so it's been awkward in a variety of ways for me to be faculty development chair with my dean as co-chair, making recommendations that put me in the firing line from a few directions. And again, so one recommendation I would have is that the Senate allocate consistent and appropriate clerical support so that the Faculty Development Committee can do the work that it's been doing so far. I mean, it's been a challenge for me to even keep up with what's already on the table. I don't know that approving individual travel requests in the way that we do is the best use of faculty time. So when Linda Scott was no longer the support person for the committee, that meant that I spent a lot of my time running around doing paperwork and not doing it very effectively, frankly, but who can when you're already working full-time as a teacher. So that would be one request, that we need consistent and qualified clerical support. That has not been the case in the time that I've been chair.
Where did Linda Scott go? Who took her
The
away?
decision was made before,
Who made the decision?
I don't know.
Well,
I
in-
can't get it clear.
As long as I
I'd
know,
like us to
Faculty
stay
Development Committee, we had Linda
on
Scott.
task in that we certainly can discuss the working conditions of the Faculty Development Committee. but I want to keep it on task with the faculty development coming down in the laws, the state, this resolution, Zarell's report. Yes?
So I have two clarification questions. Is there, one is, maybe just a large, is there a sense of urgency in that the planning council is going to meet on Friday and perhaps make a decision to move forward with this proposal? Did I understand this proposed committee? Does that possibility exist? Like, if we do nothing at this point, or we take something back to our groups for input on Friday, is the planning council going to vote to establish this committee? I have that question. And my second question is for Lisa. I want to make sure, if I'm hearing you correctly, or just, is it the case that you might be in favor of a resolution of some sort, but that perhaps this one goes, in your opinion, too far? And so then, and as I'm looking at this, and I realize that right now I'm not asking for a, but would we consider then a resolution to postpone a decision being made at planning council until we have time to consider this proposed committee? And if I'm looking at the resolution, the proposed resolution here that Zarell presented, in particular, and I'm really interested in Lisa, your opinion, because I mean you're the one, right? So I'm looking at these first 3 bullet points that we reject. Maybe this language could be a bit softened, but basically we don't want them to establish the committee. That we do want the Senate to retain responsibility for flex and faculty development. Like bullets 1, 2, 3. I wonder how you feel about those.
No, but I don't want to get in.
Well, I mean, but do we want to do something?
Yeah.
That's my question.
I
Do
can
we need to
answer
do
those
something?
questions.
Okay, that's fair.
That one of the questions was for me though, so can I speak to that, Douglas?
I don't want to debate. This is to be taken back to the academic units for debate, not
Do we
debate
have
here
time to
today.
do that? That's my question.
I'm going to answer that. But, so if you want to debate this now, that's not what we're about.
I'm not interested in debating it.
Sure, go ahead.
Kelly and others, I have proposed that the co-chair of a committee, if there is to be a subcommittee of the planning council, be the faculty development chair, which is not likely to be me, so it is not in any personal interest. I think that's an important thing that everyone should be aware of. That's been part of the discussion. That's something that Anna Davies has been very open to. And I think that's an option. I don't know that, well, I won't take up more time. I'd be happy to discuss it with you further.
Thank you. So, in regard to the College Planning Council, I haven't seen the agenda. I don't know what it is. The College Planning Council is an advisory body to the president. Anything pertaining to academic and professional matters, it's the Senate. It should not be brought up at the College Planning Council. The College Planning Council is comprised of faculty members and others, representative of all aspects of the college. But if it's professional, academic matters, it's the Senate. And this is a professional academic matter. So I co-chair, I vice chair that technically. And I will bring to their attention that the Senate is in debate on this with proposed resolutions, and it's not appropriate to move forward with any decision from the CPC.
I have one other piece of information, may I share?
Certainly.
The responsibility for coordinating flex varies differently at different colleges in our system. So that's also something that, information that I think would be worth faculty having a chance to review.
So what I'm asking the reps to do, and remember the process. Each and every Senate member, which is all full-time, all adjunct, have the right to bring a resolution before the Senate, before the full Senate. Those are all, welcome. And then the Senate takes those back to their academic units, and they discuss them. Hey, what do we like? What do we not like? What's good? What's bad? What's the best way? Do we want to change this? Do we want to keep it the way it is? And so this is the first we've seen of this. I'm asking you to take it back to your academic units and begin the discussion. I doubt this is one that we'll be able to vote on next time we meet, but I don't know. So I want you to come back prepared to share with the body what your academic unit has said on this. And then based on that input, we can go from there.
That's a real concern, correct me, but my understanding is any resolution goes to two readings anyway.
Yes.
First reading and second reading before it goes to vote. So during that time, there are tweaks and
Right.
changes that can be made based upon the feedback.
Yeah, and I appreciate the point of order. It's got to go through a couple readings. So I wouldn't even call this our first reading because, again, we've just seen that, okay? But I need you to go back. I need you to have this robust discussion. Bring back comments, questions, concerns. Kelly, did I answer your question?
Yes, may we get this in electronic format?
Yes. I believe we've exhausted the discussion on this topic. Lisa, what is your question?
I'd like to say in terms of procedure, I object to the fact that it was presented. Obviously, you knew that it was being presented today, and that was not shared, so I object to the fact that it was done in that way.
Noted, but I don't find that I went against any protocol. Yes, sir.
So I just asked Ralph, because I maybe one question to Ralph.
If it's quick, because we have to move on.
What's your, I see the resolution, I have to read through it, but what's your biggest concern overall about what they're trying to do with CPC versus what we're doing here?
I believe it removes, it takes the power away from the Senate.
Okay.
And that's something that it is the responsibility of this body to make sure that we always maintain what we have by law.
Okay, thank you.
Next item is accreditation. The accreditation visit was moved back a semester, so it gives us another semester, which is great. And we've already entered into discussion of forming a subcommittee of outcomes and assessment, an accreditation subcommittee. The Outcomes and Assessment Committee has had discussions, talked about this, and also Bert has been working with Dr. Neary, who heads up the accreditation team from the administrative side. And Bert is bringing to us some more detail on the committee and the committee members' makeup. So I'm going to turn this over to Bert. If you just want to spend a couple minutes going over that. And Bert, did you get a chance to send this out electronically?
I did. I sent it out, and I apologize. It was very, very late today, and no one else's fault but mine, because I've just been working on this. I want to premise this by saying that this is very, very preliminary. It's not. It's a model that is being reviewed. And I wanted to share it with all of you just to get some input so that we can get it in a form where it's going to be agreeable to all of you. The way that I've done this is basically on the very top, there would be two co-chairs. One represented by administration, which would be Dr. Neary, because she's the accreditation liaison officer, and then the other one would be a faculty co-chair. And I put standard 1 through standard 4 and the description under each one of those standards to just kind of describe what the ACCJC is looking for. Under that, Sheriff, could you go down a little lower? Under that, administration representative has already been, they've been defined, or they know who the team is. Under standard 1, it's going to be Dr. Daniel Martinez. Under standard 2, there are 3 subcategories in standard 2. One's for student support service, one for instructional programs, one for library learning support services. So that one would be broken up in that manner. Standard 3 has to deal with resources, and that would be Lisa Howell as the administrator. And then standard 4 is leadership and governance, which would be Anna Davies as the administrative leader. What I'm bringing forward, what I'd like your input on is for the faculty representatives. as these would be co-chairs of each standard. Okay, so you have a co-chair under each standard, but then you have the two up above that will be overseeing the entire team. Okay, and we're doing it in this manner so that we can equally distribute the workload, because this is a huge undertaking for the whole entire college, and I suppose that everyone, or as many people, should be involved in this process. So that's why we're trying to distribute the workload here. Under faculty representative, I was asked to put together just a description of maybe some qualifications of the people that would serve as co-chair for each standard. If they sound very prescriptive, it is because they have to be. The co-chairs of each one of these standards have to have some experience under each one of these categories. So I've sent this out to all of you. If you could read through them, please mark it up. Please send input to me. If you'd like to take it to your constituents, please do so and pop it over.
This is an email.
This is an email that I just sent out to everybody.
So the goal here again, thank you Bert, is to take this back to your academic units, and this is following along the trail we've been developing of a subcommittee of OAC that reports to the Senate. And they would also act as co-chairs with administration in working on accreditation. This model worked very well in our review, and we did get approved.
Oh,
you didn't mention that.
I'm so sorry.
Or
maybe Dr. Neri's here, and I'd like for her to announce it since she was part of that.
Thank you. Good afternoon, fellow academic senate. Thank you. I'd like to announce we were tasked with follow-up reports year after year. So for 3 years in a row, whereas other colleges with full accreditation wouldn't get a visit until maybe mid-year, which is at the third, fourth year, or the last year. After our last follow-up visit, we found out, and I recently shared with Bert as the co-chair of that work group, that we have no more follow-up visits. We met all the
We're off probation?
yes. Yes, we're on probation, because it's really stressful to try to do a yearly visit and a yearly report. So these last 3 years we can dedicate, and then with the extension from spring 17 to fall, we have a little more time to kind of get it, work together, and make it so that we don't have any more probationary periods within this experience. So that was really great news, and I know something will be sent out formally.
Well, thank you, and thank you for your work, your team, Bert, your team, everyone involved with accreditation. Excellent job. So I'd like you to take this. Well, let me give you a direction first, and then I'm sure there may be other questions. So I'd like you to take this back to the academic units and discuss it. The next step, if we're good with this model, is I will send out a call for who wants to chair the committee and who wants to participate in the committee. Keep in mind that call, in a way, is a little different. It's open to all, but it's difficult for certain people, a new faculty member, someone who's never participated in accreditation. There's a lot of work, specific work on this subcommittee. So it's kind of a more specialized call, and that's why we have the criteria. And questions?
Are we getting input on the organization, the way that the structure that's being suggested here? Or has that been, imposed upon us? Or are we getting input on the language, the job descriptions, and so on and so forth, or both?
Primarily the job descriptions. I wouldn't suggest anything's been imposed upon us, except what Bert and Dr. Neary have done is had a couple meetings based on their previous experience with accreditation and based on how accreditation is usually divided up at the standard practice. So the columns and the areas are pretty like normal. You're not going to change that. Though any comments are welcome, but the primary is the descriptor of the person in that position, because that will go out with the call and to everyone, and then the decision will be made based on that descriptor. We're still working on details of how this subcommittee might or might not be compensated past their obligated duty in the contract. That's not our decision, that's with the union. And that, all the details haven't been worked out, but the union I know is working on this and has our best interest in mind.
So the accreditation has to be completed by fall of next year, or this year?
2017.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you can take it.
Okay.
You can.
Heart attack.
No, we wouldn't want to do that to Fred. Okay,
Question.
yes.
And so this team will report to the Outcomes and Assessment Committee, is that correct?
Yes, there'll be a subcommittee of that, they'll report to that committee, and then report back to all faculty staff. Okay. Faculty Innovation Center. I'm tasking each of the reps to begin a discussion with your academic units on the Faculty Innovation Center. This is a very general task, since we haven't been given specifics, and I'll get to that. So what I'm asking you is, what are the understandings your academic unit has about what the Faculty Innovation Center is going to be? And that involves, where do they understand it'll be, what do they understand it will do, what are some of their ideas as to what a Faculty Innovation Center should be and should do? I will recognize you, David, in just a moment, if I could just get my statement out.
Just clarify 2 words for me. Is it a Faculty Innovation Center, or is it the Faculty Innovation Center?
Don't know.
Those mean 2 different things.
There's a lot of things that need to be clarified, and I
Okay.
appreciate that. We're at the formulation stage. So what questions does your group have? What vision does your group have? What would they like to see? That is the primary, those are the primary items I'm looking for. Here's what's happened. The Berger Foundation has provided a grant, very generous, and this is very exciting, a Faculty Innovation Center. You know, it's something we'd really like to see happen. I've had a number of conversations with administration about how can we help. We can get this done. Let's move forward. And I haven't received a response or seen any action. On the 8th of January, I sent an email. Well, before the 8th of January, I talked to some people verbally, and I said the Senate is requesting any and all documentation regarding the Faculty Innovation Center, so that we could define the or a, so that we could define what it would be and such. And in that verbal request, I was directed to go through another administrator, as that would be the proper channel, which I respected. I sent an email to the Executive Vice President on January 8th requesting any and all information, letting them know that I needed it by the 13th because we were going to meet on the 16th. We already had a meeting of just some brainstorming. Some of you were involved. Our meeting was really good, but there were a few questions like you have now that these documents may help us out on. So today, as of today, I still have not received any information from the administration. I have followed up verbally at all levels of administration. But this is too important. I don't know where it's at. I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know where we're going. But shouldn't the Faculty Innovation Center be faculty, right? So I really think this is something we need to move forward with.
I'm equally excited, I just don't know what it is.
Right?
I'm really confused on all of this, so it's one of those tail wagging the dog sort of things. It kind of tails, I hate to do this, but it kind of tails back into, I can see people thinking perhaps it does have something to do with faculty development. I didn't say that, but since we just talked about it. And I guess the other side of what I'm thinking about is I'm more than happy to go talk to my colleagues about it, but if I don't know what it is. Do I want me to ask them what they think it should be? Maybe
What question?
suggestions?
I mean, we've got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And I'm not getting the data. I will loop back to our discussion group, and I'll send out some notes that some of the discussions we had, and there was some neat information provided too by Lisa and Donna, and I'll send that out. But we've just got to move forward on this, and it would really help if we had some of the information, but we haven't received it yet. Basil, and then, did I see, and then Lisa.
So you mentioned the Burger Foundation. Could you elaborate on who they are, what they're trying to do?
The Burger, I apologize because some of you know the Burger Foundation better than I do. They are a very generous, very well-funded philanthropy group, I'll define them as that. And they have given what I believe is a $350,000 donation towards this. We want to make sure we're honoring what
Towards what?
that is why we requested the document, basically.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't, to me, they're giving me $350,000.
Supposedly.
They have some idea what they would like us to do, I would think.
And
So
it's
what is
probably
it?
general. It's probably vague general, but even that would help us as a starting point. And I don't want to be disrespectful to their intent either.
No, I don't either. I think it's good money, but Faculty Innovation Center, like, really? What? Again, I agree, I don't know,
Right.
what would you?
That's what I think is
Well,
ours
somebody
to
has to
figure
have
out.
an idea of what they gave the money for and what they think they're going to do. And I don't think going back and discussing it with our constituents at this point, I mean, what do I say to them? Give us some ideas what you would
Well,
like.
again, I would say to them, what have you
Exactly.
heard about the Faculty Innovation Center? What are your questions about the Faculty Innovation Center? And do you know of any Faculty Innovation Centers at other facilities?
Well, shouldn't that be coming down to us about what other people have done rather than us trying to decide? And then we can say, we don't want that, we want this. It seems backwards.
Well,
And I don't take back, we can talk about it in kind of abstract terms, but I don't see anything concrete, I don't know what it is, and I don't know what I'm talking about. I can say that we could all come back with 1,000 ideas of what was the original, so somebody must have had an idea why we would like this money, and what did they hope to do with it.
Well, that's what I requested, David.
Yeah, and I think until we get that, I don't think the discussion is appropriate.
I totally understand where you're coming from. The problem is, my understanding, this has to be done by August.
Of course, naturally.
And
So,
So again,
I'm not comfortable, though if this body were to determine this is the way to go, I'm not comfortable just sitting back and seeing what happens. Lisa, and then,
So before my question, I can say that there are faculty innovation centers. There's one at Cerritos College, for instance. And Dr. Kinnaman had included an innovation fund, I believe was the wording, in the 30/30 campaign that the foundation undertook in March. So it was discussed there. It's in his 24-month plan or agenda. So there is some language about that, but as an individual, I can say I've had questions about that also. Whose innovation? What does that mean for and for whom? And I think that I've done some research because it is often associated with faculty development at different institutions. My question was for Douglas, and I don't know, perhaps Denise, if she is still here.
Yes.
My understanding was that there was a job description shared with you both for an innovation center, 1 or 2 innovation center faculty positions for release time. Are you able to share any more information about what language was included in those?
So I can answer that. As the Academic Senate Executive Board knows, in your summer retreat, you were given drafts of, I think, at least 10
Titles.
10, potential 10 coordinator is the word used for it. And we made our way through several discussions of those. And when the one related to the Faculty Innovation Center appeared, it's also grouped with technology. And we asked for clarifications. At that time, the association specifically asked for all the documentation related to this Burger grant so that we could understand more clearly what specific guidelines were involved. We also never received any of it, any documentation. And so we entered into discussions about it and have tried to be, there's a lot of confusion as to sort of cart and horse. I mean, you know, some people want to argue that you get a coordinator and then that coordinator does all this work. And then other people, you know, are like, well, we need some better definition of exactly what this is, and even the job description on it. So there's been a lot of conversation and desire to actually define more clearly what, in fact, all of this is about. And we certainly, from the association point of view, feel strongly that way before we talk about negotiating X amount of release time, which is what the story is with any coordinator position. It's a significant amount of release time. So that's why we've tried to enter into discussions, collect together, appropriately together, to say, what is this? And what does it mean? What are we looking for? What, in fact, is this? Because we really don't know. And we also have requested documentation that we've never received.
Thank you. Alan?
Yeah, I just would like to piggyback on what you were saying. How can we possibly go back to one of the meetings of our unit and discuss this when we don't know what it is? I know some of us have research projects, ongoing research, we do all sorts of things, others have certain things they have in mind. Denise, you remember a while back when we received the President's Innovation Grant and spent 16 days in Costa Rica? Wonderful time. We essentially did work with the school, trying to see how we could get students back here.
Yeah.
And then we spent, what, another 6 months, a year or so, trying to get a study abroad thing. We did a lot of work. For what?
Yeah.
Nothing. I haven't been a research project, I haven't been supporting the penny. Right? So I think it's really important that we know more about it before we take it back to say, oh, we're going to have Faculty Innovation Center.
Got it. Thank you.
You mentioned the date of August. Are you saying we have to make some kind of proposal by August in order to receive the grant?
It's a rumor I've heard. Since I've seen no documentation, it's a rumor I've heard. Kelly, you're after Carl?
Just from a slightly different perspective, you know, they're part of one of those subcommittees that met in terms of the SSSP was innovation, and I was the faculty co-chair, and Joel was the administrative co-chair on that. And so that was on innovation. And what we worked to, at least to a point, you know, and it would tie in with this innovation center, I believe, is a little bit what maybe Ellen's kind of mentioning, is that it's open for faculty also, if you have something that you want to try, something new that maybe requires some funding, you want to pilot a course, maybe you can get some release time to develop a course, or something along those lines. Those are the kind of things we're talking about that could be funded. It would be a process where it would be a proposal process that you would have to complete to be able to get funding. But I mean, I see that as part. But there's also another word that we're leaving out. I don't think it's intended as only even though it might be called a Faculty Innovation Center, it's really a faculty and staff and student type innovation center possibly. We maybe don't want to just think of it as isolated as just faculty. I don't think administrators, you know, there might be something we actually work together with administrators on, and, you know, and whatever. And again, we have to worry about staffing for that center as well. I mean,
Carl, even what you're saying, that's got to be developed and create written all over.
Let me grab Kelly first.
It's a component of it, yes.
Yeah.
It does, yeah.
Kelly?
So I understand that it seems really difficult to go back and collect input about something that's so ill-defined. On the other hand, if administration is failing to respond to multiple requests for additional detail, they have the Berger grant language, they have the detail. If we're not getting this information, if we can't move forward until we have the information, yet they're refusing to give us the information, is our option then to do nothing?
Can I say something?
Yeah, in order, we've got Ellen, Annabelle.
As far as trying pilot things or starting anything, isn't that also part of what a sabbatical has been in the past?
Sure. No, there can be some overlap there.
But there's,
Well, it's not defined. This is part of the issue.
well, it's.
We're not saying that, you know.
And I know I'm a little bit out of order, but I did also speak with Peter at the foundation, and he wouldn't give me any, he's always really general, which was no help, of course, to say it was general.
Annabelle?
So,
This might help. Thank you again for allowing me to speak, Chair and Academic Senate. So the Berger made a donation after the 30/30 campaign last summer of faculty innovation. Because faculty innovation falls under the Senate's purview, who defines faculty innovation, what should be in that space? We created what we call the Instructional Design Technology Coordinator and handed that out and gave it to the unions, gave it to Doug and the Senate President for review. It's called the Instructional Design Technology Coordinator because in order to design an instructional space, we need faculty. It's not an the Senate. So that job description was forwarded last summer. We were hoping to, and that job description was designed in coordination when Felix was the ed tech chair and the distance ed chair. We worked in coordination with that job description and pulled the best job descriptions from different faculty innovation centers and success centers and combined it. And then editing, we really worked together on the editing because who would know better than what faculty reassigned time or faculty space look like than a faculty leader that was representing distance ed and educational technology. So I was, for example, my area was on standby for the revisions. I didn't get any additional standby or request for revisions last fall, and the Bergers would like the money spent within a year. So our hope was, I work very closely with Ed Tech, Donna Green, I work very closely with Kim Dozier, who falls in my area as the distance ed coordinator. Again, so I'm more than happy to do a presentation. I handed over, it's only about 2 or 3 pages, so it's very vague. It's basically, we want a space, construction dollars to design a space for faculty, where faculty can buy the equipment that they want, whether it's a Surface, where it's Chromebooks. And again, I or administration, we wouldn't know what faculty need to innovation. We don't know what your new tools are. So part of that relationship and that discussion with EdTech Chair, hopefully the Senate, with the Senate and the Distance Ed Coordinator, Kim Dozier, is what space do you need? Do you need work group space and so forth? And the reason it wouldn't be defined because the definition is left up to the faculty.
But were you able to share with us then the document from the Berger grant that specifies in whatever level of detail what their vision is for that money?
Yeah, it's just a 1-page letter about.
Dr. Neary, could you provide us with any and all information, provide the Senate with any and all information? I've seen timelines that were not given to me. So I know there's timelines, I know there's dollar amounts, I know there's the Berger document. So the Senate is requesting any and all information. We would really appreciate that.
I'll work with the administration to get you what you need. And again, if you need me to do a presentation. But in essence, in terms of the timeline and space, I'm more than happy to work with who I need to create the space that we need. And the space can change. So if you don't need 30 iPads and you need 50 Surface Pros and you need a place for recording yourself or whatever, that's the input we're really looking for so that the space is created and then we buy the equipment that faculty need to innovate their online, face-to-face, or whatever technology.
Yeah, we only have a couple more minutes. I think Denise was next. Thank you, Annabelle, appreciate that. That would be fine after Denise.
Yeah, good.
And we got to wrap this up in a couple minutes because we're running out of time.
Okay, Okay, so, thank you for looking that up. That's what I was asking Cheryl about, the full title that was handed over, the Instructional Design and Technology, Educational Technology and Faculty Development Center Coordinator. It's a mouthful, it's very, very large. And the first draft of which came at the same time as the Distance Education Coordinator. I had numerous discussions, not only in IT, trying to ferret this out, not only with Felix, but cross-comparing what the coordinator positions look like and where the job descriptions cross over or repeat themselves or whatever. So a lot of effort has gone into trying to clarify and articulate just exactly what this is. And just based on some of the discussion and questions, you can see where some of the concerns are as far as how big is the center and who gets to use it. The only detail that had been, not on a written document, but set in President's Cabinet and a couple of other places was that the space was already designated as far as in the last room of the liberal arts building, and that most of the money really was seen as the remodeling of that particular space, and therefore that had some of these timelines that you're asking about and talking about. But its actual usage, purpose, and all of that, as you can tell, a lot of people have a lot of questions about.
So Denise, thank you. For Denise and Annabella, I sort of feel left out of the Berger Foundation here as the Student Services Representative. I hear a lot about instruction and distance learning. Is the grant just for that, or we talk about student success, and we had a meeting this morning and we were talking about all kinds of things that impact students from student services. Does the grant cover innovations within student services, or is it just instructional distance learning?
All faculty.
It'd be all faculty.
Well, I hear the discussion, I said I feel left out of this discussion,
Well,
I didn't hear anything about student service.
We've got to move on, and
But I still want to make that point, thank you.
thank you for making the point, and I would love to know more. So,
Can I ask, is this person,
yes, you may, I'm sorry.
would this position in effect replace what Mark Fisher was doing in helping faculty?
Partially,
That's what.
Partially.
I just want to understand what.
yes. No, I think more understanding does need to happen. So, we will continue to ask for clarification documents. Just start the discussion, if nothing else, and see what comes back, because we all love to see this Faculty Innovation Center. So, all right. Discussion items, the last point is a climate survey. I'm getting confused. I get a lot of input. Everybody's got my number, and I'm glad. That's the position I'm in as Senate President. And I hear it all. I hear the good, the bad, and the ugly. I hear you should do this, you should do that. This is what we need to do. And I appreciate all the comments and input. Some criticism, just rolls off. I listen to it all and absorb what I can. I have my style. So at times, I'm criticized for this, that, and the other thing. It's not about me. But the point is, I'm getting a lot of information. The problem is, it's got to go beyond me to decide what's said. And with some of the topics I'm getting, I don't know if the faculty are aware of some of the issues. We met at our question and answer session during Flex, which was great. And we tried to answer some of those, and I think we provided some clarity. But I'm going to put together a climate survey to go out to all faculty, where it'll articulate some of the key issues that we're struggling with, to get a sense of where we are. I don't know where we, faculty, are on certain issues. I don't know how to best represent us to the board. and there's some significant issues. So I'll be preparing that climate survey and sending that out probably in the next few weeks, and would appreciate participation from everyone. Yeah, something, and I haven't figured out the modality. It'll be like, electronic, like a Survey Monkey. But I don't know if it's exactly Survey Monkey yet, so don't hold me to that. But yes. Okay. Anything for the good of the order? Then, without hearing any objections to adjournment, we are adjourned.